Hello,
Please
hello.
clarify.
No. Hello. Welcome to Anything More, Anything Goes. My name's Miguel.
I'm Brendan.
And folks, welcome to episode 97. We're getting there. Today, folks, we're covering the brand new Monkey Rides a Lizard versus Monkey Riding a Different Lizard, Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire.
Yes.
What a fucking mouthful.
Yeah, that second lizard was not in any trailer that I saw.
Well, I saw the
Its
Funko
eyes
Pop.
were in a trailer, and I thought it was Godzilla.
No, I saw the Funko Pops get announced like months ahead, unless it's an Avengers movie or something.
Okay.
And they were like, White Lizard. I was like, hi, Shimu. What the fuck are you doing? I don't know what his name was. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's that. And then you have to talk about something. I got to talk about something. Second half of the episode is going to make no fucking sense.
Yes.
Can't wait.
Okay.
Yay.
Let's do it.
So we're talking about Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. This is the third time that we've dedicated an entire episode to talking about Godzilla.
And you guys fucking love
in
it.
6 months. 3 Godzillas. I don't remember why. I'm pretty sure the first one was because Godzilla -1 was coming out, and we were like looking for content.
And we decided to watch all of them.
Which was funny.
And then we watched the new one.
Because then this one comes out.
And then we watched this one. And you know what's funny? I already forgot what happened in the last one because I thought Millie Bobby Brown was in the last one.
Yeah, she was.
So they were like, oh, man, I got a new haircut in this one, so you don't recognize me. I'm like, no, I just don't fucking recognize you, plain and simple. Who are you?
That's the Okay, so first, Brendan, what was the budget of Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire?
114.
135. You're getting better at this very slowly.
Yes.
You have no metric as to what you're estimating.
No, I don't.
You're just throwing
I'm
numbers
slowly
out.
learning, though.
What is the Can you guess what the opening weekend is?
It's Saturday right now.
Yeah.
So the
There's
weekend's not
still
over.
projections. It's Easter weekend, so it's a 3-day weekend.
Oh, okay, so extra. So I'm going to go with 160.
75.
Who hurt them?
On a budget of 135, that's pretty good.
I want to know what fucking beef AMC got that they have Ghostbusters still #1 on the ticket thing, even though it came out last week, and Kong vs. Godzilla, I had to scroll down through like 9 different movies to get to this fucking movie.
There's got to be some stupid shit, but there's also a lot of stuff in theaters right now. Like, we keep going through this thing where there's like 3 or 4 weeks of nothing, and then fucking everything all at once. Rotten Tomatoes, 55% rotten for critics.
Fuck them.
Assumed. Audience 92.
That's fucking
nice
right.
And high. Compared to the last one, Godzilla vs. Kong, 76 and a 91. Couldn't even open your mouth. You just
tried to hold it in, and it just was bad.
So, what are your initial thoughts on this movie? Because I got to tell you, first and foremost, right, the story, ass, garbage.
I'm going to keep it plain and simple.
Okay.
It was awesome.
The whole thing?
The whole fucking thing was great. The story was not as bad as you say it was. Have you seen the stories of the other ones? It's the same.
Listen. We do this in every monster film, every Godzilla film, and every Transformers movie. Stop fucking showing me the people. Okay, I don't fucking care about... Do you think I'm going to the movies in 2024 when tickets cost $25 per person?
Yeah.
And going to go, oh, I wonder what the fucking girl from the first one is doing right now.
Was it the first one?
I wonder if Godzilla is going to be okay, knowing that this girl is here with magical powers, communicating with Mothra.
Made no fucking sense.
None at all. Mothra coming back. Listen,
how did she get the girl?
I don't know.
She just stole that little girl. And
Mothra?
she's like, no, the little girl.
Oh, the mom?
The little girl.
You said she stole the little girl. Again, this is the second week in a row that I have to fucking take you to English class. What do you mean?
The mom stole the little girl.
That's what I fucking said.
When Skull Island took place in the 60s. That girl was not born.
She was a baby.
No, she wasn't.
She was almost
She
born.
was not even a fetus. She was nothing.
Brendan, the fetus is alive.
Who cares?
I have no idea. So if we'll talk cast then, right? You have is it Rebecca Hall? I think that's the character's name.
I don't know a single fucking character's name.
It is her name. Rebecca Hall is the actor's name.
Yeah.
Okay, so her coming back, I like that it's a little bit of continuity. Okay, between Godzilla vs. Kong and Godzilla x Kong.
Could not care less.
The titles are confusing.
Yes.
Okay. The little girl, Kaylee Hotel. I like the continuity. Fine.
What continuity?
They're more
Where did she get her?
I don't know.
She pulled her from her pocket, the character.
Brian Tyree Henry coming back?
It was weird seeing him in
Didn't
this because
understand.
the first thing that I saw him in was the Eternals that I remembered him in, and it was, you're really bad at that.
I completely forgot he was in the Eternals.
And
this
he was
bad. I had to let you know, okay?
The only difference is the lack of ice and the added apple hooch.
Rather just have the apple hooch. Tastes like cinnamon. Anyway, yes, he was in the Eternals.
But he was a bit of a. I want to say he was a badass, but he was a bit more like aggressive. Like he could fight and stuff. And in this, he was kind of nerdy. And I was like,
but he was in the last one.
Yeah.
Right? And it was in the last one I got it because he's supposed to be the comic relief. He's funny, so he's kind of hanging out with Millie Bobby Brown with the younger kids. He's the adult.
Didn't age well.
Bad, yes.
Didn't age
especially related to what we'll talk about later.
What could it be?
It made sense that the dipshit was with the younger ones, right? But in this, it's like if you want to have Rebecca Hall be like the main character and it's her daughter and they're like, oh my God, Kong loves a little girl. I get it. Okay, but if you want to bring in other people and other characters, it doesn't flow. Because then everybody's sitting here, the common audience member sitting here going, where the fuck is Millie Bobby Brown?
I'm so tired of deaf kids in movies. As shitty as that sounds, it is a trope that has been used so much recently.
Really?
Yes. So often is there a
notice.
deaf kid in a movie lately. And it's just like, what are we going to do to make this person look like they have some adversity and do whatever? And they like make them deaf.
She connects to the moth.
And then they're like doing like, oh, well, she's deaf, obviously, because she got the sign language. Not a single other motherfucking person in her world is deaf. Not only can they hear, they speak telepathically.
Oh, yeah.
And do whatever. And she's just like, no, I'm part of this. Clearly, I must be deaf because I can't speak. No. Like, what, that, The Quiet Place, there was like two other things where like there was... Echo, thank you.
The Eternals.
Someone was deaf in that one?
The Speedster.
It's there's too many deaf kids nowadays in movies.
Are you being racist towards deaf people?
I'm saying
Are you being ableist, Brendan?
Yes.
Are you going to cancel yourself on the podcast again?
Yes, I am. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying it's overused. Mix it up. Give me a blind guy. I don't know. There's not enough Daredevil. I don't know.
Rebel. No, not Rebel.
No.
Fuck. No, the other one.
No.
Rogue One.
No. Okay. When was that? 7 years ago?
I'm one with the Force. The Force is with me.
It's a good character,
It's
though.
a fucking great character.
More deaf people. I mean, more blind people. Enough deaf people.
Daredevil. Oh, she's really deaf in real life, too. Good for her.
So is Echo. It's not a big
Oh,
deal.
Was she really?
She also had a fake leg.
She did.
Which the character didn't have that they added because she had one.
So then let's talk about, right, if we're tired of the actors, let's talk about the important parts of this movie.
Yes, big fucking monkey.
Big monkey, big lizard.
Mm.
I
loved it.
So if you remember.
Loved it.
I love it. Everything that doesn't have a fucking human being randomly being in it, flawless, perfect. A visual spectacle. He didn't do it. You were going to bootleg the movie. So that way you could sit at home. And I told you had to go in because of that was half of what it was.
Yeah.
I was right. Okay?
So I want to give you like my step-by-step thought process for the opening shot of the movie.
Can you describe the opening shot? I don't remember.
I will. It's a little step-by-step, Miguel.
Okay.
That's what that means. Are you with me?
Am I taking the first? Is it like hopscotch? 1.
No, because that's just one hop, skip, and a jump.
5.
This is very smooth. So it starts off with the pterodactyl wannabes, and
Are we talking about the Godzilla or the King Kong root canal?
Even before that, the opening shot of the movie.
Yes.
And you see it and everything, and you see the birds, and they're just flying. You're like, wow, that's really weird. And then it starts to pan, and you're like, oh, that was a ground shot up at the sky, not a sky shot up down at the ground. And then the camera flips, and you're like, that makes more sense. And then it flips again, and you're like, stop fucking with me.
I'm dizzy.
What's happening.
Make it stop.
And then I saw it, and like my brain was just like, this looks like a David Attenborough, like Planet Earth kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's the wildebeest. And I'm like, that one in the front looks an awful lot like a monkey. I don't think these are wildebeest. And then it cuts closer, and I'm like, that's a fucking monkey. And like the entire like first 3 minutes, it just kind of like
that's when he was murdering the dog-looking things.
Yeah, it just kind of like threw me through a loop a little bit because they did really commit to like the character of monkey as like not just like big monkey, but like
big monkey
person has like feelings, story, whole
grown
thing.
Ass man with a gray beard.
Loved it.
Yeah,
loved it.
This to me, do you remember years ago? Right, because we saw Toy Story 4 in theaters together. You'll understand in a minute, okay?
I hated that movie. Well, I didn't hate the
Toy
movie.
Story 4 is great.
It didn't need to happen.
It didn't need to happen, but it was still a great movie, okay?
Yeah.
But you remember in that movie, my biggest complaint, right? Because I'm a Woody fucking fan. Not Woody, Buzz. It's not great. Stop. What is the difference?
Yours has banana.
Why? I said don't. I slurped it too hard. It went down my throat.
Like the banana.
The banana's better.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Do you want to taste?
No. This is why that hooch is still big. I've had that bottle of hooch for 3 years. How did it get darker? No, that's tainted now. What the fuck happened to that? It had a chemical reaction. So back to the movie.
Toy Story 4. Right.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Different movie. Okay.
Yes. A very different movie. But you remember, I'm a big Buzz fan. Always been a Buzz fan. Dressed up
Thought
as
you
Buzz
were
for
a Woody
Halloween.
fan.
No, I spoke incorrectly.
Everybody dressed up as Buzz for Halloween. It was
Yes.
a rite of passage, except for that
That's
one
right.
fucking weird kid who showed up as Woody.
Exactly.
There was always
Wrong.
one.
Dumbass. So in that movie, I said, I hate this in part only because there's not enough Buzz. I am so disappointed by Godzilla X Kong because it's not a Godzilla X Kong movie. It is Kong, the New Empire, featuring Godzilla at the end. There is not enough Godzilla. Understandably,
No,
right?
I'm
The
gonna
best
explain it.
part
I'm
of
gonna
this
make it
movie.
best sense.
Stop it. The best part of this movie is the Funko Pop of him laying down, sleeping like a little baby.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But there's not enough Godzilla in this movie until he goes Super Saiyan Rose and hangs out with King Kong.
I hated him sleeping in the Coliseum.
I thought it
because
was
on the
adorable.
way out he breaks it,
He
and
does.
I looked at him in there and I'm like, how did he not break it on the way in? And then they cut to him doing it again at the end of the movie,
He doesn't
and
break
it's just as broken as it was at the
Yes.
beginning, and he doesn't break it again getting into it.
Yep.
How is that place not in ruins?
He's like a cat.
Also,
Godzilla
in
is a cat.
Asian Godzilla movies, they're always like, "Oh man, Godzilla's here. We better evacuate the city." Not fucking one
Nope.
city got evacuated in this
Nope.
movie. Millions, tens, if not hundreds of millions, murdered. Just fucking obliterated.
So up until the ending, right? Because now we're gonna jump around. In the beginning, Godzilla, he'll do his thing, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, Godzilla's moving." Why? He's such a deep guy, man. He's only moving with a purpose. So he's not just murdering if you look at Godzilla -1, that guy's in there and he's like, "I'm gonna blow up the city for funsies." This Godzilla's like, "I'm walking down the street because the water makes my feet feel good."
I feel like eating crab today. Stab your own face.
Exactly. Yes. And in the end is a polar opposite, because in the end it's this fucking spectacle of, if you told no one what was, I was thinking in the middle of it, I was like, if you show this to a Victorian child, they fucking have an aneurysm and their eyes would fall out of their head.
Yeah, but that's the
They
same with
come
the Cool Ranch
through-
Dorito.
Can you imagine doing both of those? Watch this shit, eat this,
Eat
see
this.
what happens. So
Here's some clean water.
you have the bare minimum. You have you have 3 monkeys come through a portal and 2 lizards come through this portal from the center of the earth, right? After they had destroyed the Great Pyramids in Egypt. Okay, they come through and they're beating the shit and they're throwing each other into skyscrapers. And the part I saw in the trail, I've seen everybody talk about it, is the Scar King has this whip and he swings the whip back and he grabs half of a skyscraper. Hundreds of people are
Just
in it.
dead.
And he just fucking yeets that shit into Kong.
My favorite
Nothing.
thing was 5 seconds before that, Kong looks down at some people on a bridge and goes, "Oh no, human lives." But then that building's coming at his face, loses all recollection of human beings, and punches right through the fucking building, killing
so
everyone.
many, hundreds of people. They just like Japan was one thing, right?
Yeah.
Or wherever, because they were there fighting Mechagodzilla, and they're not just like throwing shit, they're like
They're
fighting.
just
And in
fucking
this, they're
going
just like, "Give me this building." No one's evacuated.
Not at
Everything
all.
is collapsing. They're just like, "Take this, chuck it at
All
you."
those people on the beach where the monkey's like, "Ah, I'm gonna kill you." Also, okay, hold on. I want to talk about my 2 only issues
Okay.
with this movie. The people are not one of them. The people, they actually did fairly well for one of
I
these movies.
fucking hated them, but continue.
Issue number 1.
Yes.
The beach, when the orangutan comes out of it,
Yeah.
the portal lands on the beach. You see all these people on the beach, and then when it's the shot of him landing on it, it's so clearly a CG beach, and they didn't bother to render a single person. It's just an empty beach, like in fucking GTA 5. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Having said that, Godzilla, I don't know if they took extra time because Godzilla -1 did so well. He looked
Good.
so
Oh my
fucking
God.
good.
He looks more like a person.
He had more definition in his eyes. There
Yeah.
was a lot more going on the scale.
Uh-huh.
He looked great.
He looked so good. Both of them looked phenomenal.
He looked awesome.
The Scar King looked
but
like shit.
The second, yeah, a little bit, because
did.
he had those weird blind kind
Yeah,
of eyes.
he did.
But the number one thing I hated about this movie, which
Was
I'll
it the
get to in
villain?
a second because I just forgot what it was.
I hated the villain.
So you go, yeah.
So the way that I saw it, right, admittedly, this is the thing that happens when I go to the movies. I do tend to fall asleep. Okay, and I fight for my life. This time, from now on, though, when I
Yeah.
feel myself, because now it's a whole thing. I feel my eyes start to droop. Now I look at the time. Okay, and I fight for my life. And every time I noticed that my eyes were closing, I think I fell asleep, and I look at the clock. I lost, I think, 15 minutes in that movie. Right in the
Okay.
middle.
Okay.
Right before the climax had started. So I don't really give a shit because I'm sure it was just people going, how are we gonna help Kong?
Yeah.
I came back up when they were like, let's put the power gauntlet on him, and he was like,
dude, I
sure.
really forgot what the fuck I hated about this movie.
I hated the villain.
How
Honestly,
much could I have hated it then?
It like the Scar King felt like exactly what he was. He was a random other monkey that Kong was like, I wish I had friends, and then the guy was like, I'm not your friend. I'm gonna kick your fucking ass.
But he was like a warmongering piece of shit who clearly knew he wasn't gonna beat Kong the moment
Who
he
also
broke
didn't
out of
show
that
up until the
chokehold
last quarter of the movie
because he had that fucking pointy stick that controlled the other monster, who
Yes.
looked so dumb.
Yes.
He was cockeyed as fuck. And at the end, he's like, I'm gonna help.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that voice to come out like that.
Yes.
And
I love the way that I think one of my favorite things is like my favorite dumb thing.
Yeah.
Right besides the little monkey. I have to remember. I just remembered Timmy's favorite part.
What?
So first, I lost
We're
it.
both lost. Okay,
Yes,
well, I'm
no,
gonna talk
no.
about something
I
real
love
quick.
the way that they explain, right? Because part of it is like a toy thing, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't sell the same Godzilla-looking Funko Pop for the 10th time because nobody's gonna buy it. He has to look a little different.
Yeah.
The way they explained Godzilla turning pink was so funny to me.
So good.
Because he came up, he was still blue, and they're like, oh, he supercharged himself, and he was still blue, and then he went under the water. They're like, where's he going? Oh, he's going to this spot on the Earth that happens to be the uttermost point where the sun's rays impact can be absorbed by a creature, and there's something there already. It's his turf. What is he gonna? And Godzilla goes, and he just drowns him, and then cuts him up into pieces, and then spits out his head again, and then turns pink.
So that's one thing I want to touch on that I absolutely loved in this
Yes.
movie is that it's the first time we really see these kings of titans
Mm-hmm.
deal with lesser titans like they are lesser and just fucking murder people.
Dude, so first of all, like the stupidest thing in this movie to me that
Yeah.
was annoying is the way that they explain, like, all right, so in the center of the Earth is here, right, and this is where everything connects, right, and then Kong was here, and then Kong fell into a ravine, right, and he fell through the floor,
Yeah.
and when he came out, they were like, this is the subterraneous layer, and when he came out, there was sky. And all these things, so you're like, I'm confused. So here's the surface, here's the center, here's the center of the Earth. There's another, okay.
Yeah.
And he goes in there and he's fighting other monkeys, right? And the best part of this fucking movie is when he's beaten up. There's like 3 other monkeys that look real disheveled, and there's the baby monkey, right? And he kicks the baby monkey's ass. And then the other, I think we're about to talk about the same thing. And the other monkeys are coming at him, and he grabs the baby's leg, and Timmy and I look at each other. We're like, "There's no fucking way he's gonna happen." You're like, he's gonna totally do like a Hanna-Barbera thing where he's gonna smack him on both sides of him and then throw him away. He picked up the monkey by the leg and then beat the fuck out of these other guys.
And the monkey
And it
was
was
fine.
like, yes, it was
That
like
was-
a full-on smack into like another monkey's head, and then he took a rock. And this guy's running away, and he totally like football fucking Peyton Manning, like he lunged it
Yeah.
right in the back of the head, and the guy's perfectly fine. And then Kong's sitting there like,
2 things. One, that was phenomenal.
Such a great
Second
moment.
of all, I remember the other thing that I hated about this movie.
okay,
Its complete lack of ability to manage scale.
yes,
It was just
Yes.
fucking wow. That second lizard shows up and you see Kong go, oh fuck, and he's looking up. And I'm like, that thing's like 4 times the size of Godzilla. And then the monkey starts riding it. I'm like, that is smaller than Godzilla. What the fuck
That
just
is
happened?
a
And
baby
then the
piece of
monkey,
shit.
the baby monkey,
Yeah.
is pushing trees and his head's above it. So I'm like, okay, I'd say he's maybe like 50 feet tall. And then he comes up to Earth and he's knocking into skyscrapers. I'm like, how
Yeah.
how big
Yeah.
are those trees?
I know.
What are you looking at? What is the scale here? Like, what is happening?
So Godzilla in this movie I fucking loved, but we haven't given enough love to Kong, right? So in the end, he becomes King Kong, right? Because the Scar King
Yeah,
is
he
murdered.
finally has that.
He
And then the
finally
baby
becomes
one is now Prince Kong.
Prince Kong. I
That's
thought
what
it was
I'm
gonna be
calling him.
Son of Kong.
Prince Kong. Prince
Son-
Diddy. No, we can't call him that
Can't
anymore.
call him that anymore.
Fine.
That's like Diddy Kong.
Yes. Or, P. Diddy.
Can't call him that anymore.
You cannot.
So he's finally King Kong, right? And that's fucking awesome. Kong in this movie, right? In Kong Skull Island, they're like, oh, he's just a dude. He's like a young dude. That's why he's smaller, and that's why he just looks like he's a thin guy. Okay, you get to Godzilla versus Kong, and they're like, all right, so we had to age him up a bit because it's been like 50 years, and he's a monkey, but he has like facial hair and like a small beard. And in this one, they're like, you look like a grown ass man
you're fucking old. Like,
with a big ass
you're
gray
at
beard.
least 55 in human years.
Yes, in Kong years.
Yes.
Kong years, he's about 400. I have no idea.
He aged so much from the 60s to the 2020s. 60 years.
Maybe he's 100.
So I think he probably lives to like 200,
Yeah.
and he's like late age, and he was like mid 20s before. Now he's mid 50s. He'll probably make it to like 70, but he's war torn and shit. So who knows?
So maybe in the next one they're gonna be
the next
like,
one they're gonna give him the mecha wheelchair. He's gonna roll out.
They gave him an arm.
They did.
They gave him a whole ass robo arm.
It was Gauntlet. I thought that he lost the arm in the trailer, and they gave him a fake hand. It's just a
totally
Gauntlet.
spoiled too between like pops and trailers and things. Because then they try to make it a big deal in the movie. We're like, oh no, we got frostbite. We have this.
The entire time, I'm like, just give him the fucking hand. Just give him the hand.
Like, what excuse are we gonna make to get to this?
I also liked how they tried to make it seem somewhat reasonable by giving him a metal tooth beforehand and being like, we totally have this gauntlet.
Him a root canal.
Yeah. And
why?
And this gauntlet, like, I shit you not.
Yeah.
Down the road.
Would you believe me if I told you that the one thing we need to fix Kong's hand now that he has frostbite
is around the corner,
right
down
there?
by the deli? It's right there.
If you hit the trees, you've gone too far.
Like, what the fuck? He's like, it's sitting there the whole time, and then
they're like, it's stored at base number 1.
Which I'm pretty sure when they were in it, they called it Sector 5.
I don't know.
So I'm like, what the fuck is happening? But so then the other dude, the Ace Ventura wannabe 80s
annoying
nostalgia, I liked him. He goes off and he comes back and he's just like, they're like, oh, you're not gonna go up and get reinforcements. He's like, I got a crazier idea. I'm like, well, the only other fucking thing you interacted with was the pterodactyl, so clearly you're gonna go get them because you can camouflage to clearly be one of them.
Stupid.
And then they start playing a fucking Kiss song. No, but
Freebird would have worked.
And they start doing it, and you're like, oh man, this shit is like they're making this go up.
Yeah.
And the song they're playing is "I Was Made for Loving You," which feels like a weird choice to play when birds are coming.
Well, if the birds were coming, then loving you makes a lot of sense.
But then they played it, and they're doing this thing where like they're ramping up, and they're ramping up with the music, like kind of like.
And the birds don't do anything.
Guardians does, yeah. And then it cuts to the people, and the music slowly fades. I'm like, why did you just put that song in there?
Thing?
Why, he just
make any
showed
sense.
up.
Yeah,
you could have been like that, and like we would have been fine. You didn't need to fucking pay millions of dollars for this fucking song that like didn't mean anything.
Can you do that again? Thumbnail. Ready? Wait. Here's thumbnail. Aww. I think the best part of the movie to me, altogether, right? So I've been calling.
Thumbnail.
Wait, if you're Kong, I have to be Godzilla. What is? How
the fuck was this Kong?
Robo arm.
I was pretending to like fist. And now it's on camera. I was doing it off camera solely for thumbnail, and now it's a thing. Now it's just, hey.
I thought you were going robo arm. That's very violent fisting.
I got a robo hand, man. I don't know.
So I've been calling this movie Monkey Rides a Lizard. Okay? Because Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire.
He
stupid
rode
title.
him. Oh, hold on. Sorry.
He didn't ride him. That's the thing.
I don't want to cut you off.
You're cutting me off.
But there's just one part that you mentioned on earlier that you just reminded me of that really made me mad. You said they destroyed the pyramids.
They did.
But not only did they destroy the pyramids, it got me so mad that Kong ran behind it to use it as tactical cover. It just fucking destroyed it. And I'm like, are you kidding?
The portal made him come through the sand.
Didn't even try. But yeah, okay, so your thing.
He didn't ride. I've been calling it Monkey Rides a Lizard. He did not ride him. Okay, if you look at the shot, right, the Scar King rides White Bitch. Okay, so he's riding him towards him, and this is the moment in the trailer and on the poster when Godzilla and Kong are running like humans. They're running towards the bad guy. Okay?
Yeah,
and he sees him, and he sees that the Scar King is riding him, and then he jumps to use him as momentum. He doesn't ride him. He hops onto Godzilla and uses Godzilla's thigh for momentum to leap into the air. Disappointing.
This is the only man.
Still super fun. So fucking cool.
Twice in this movie, not only did I get a little bit of goosebumps, I verbally went in the quiet theater. Fuck yeah. It was 2 times. It was the first one was when Godzilla shows up and then the title card pops up and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be a good movie.
I'm so glad about this.
I'm so happy right now. And then the second one is when they come out and it's just the trailer shot of them running and I literally like, fuck, yes. Come on, give it to me.
What's so funny is first of all, that sounds a little too sexual. Okay, I need you to stop. But 2, is I can totally see inebriated Brendan sitting in a Dolby Theater chair just like this, like
next to nothing but children, just
fuck yeah, I love it. Give me more. Like, you're not moving. You're not going like...
So I was a little fucked
like
up where my head was like this against the chair, even though it doesn't recline that far, but my head still couldn't support itself.
So you're like this.
And I'm like, damn, this is a good movie. And then they did that, and I went, fuck yeah.
Anyway,
I picked up my head for the excitement.
This is Brendan in the theater. He's sitting in the Dolby chair. Fuck yeah. Yeah. Monkey.
That's what it was. I was having the ride of my life.
It was so good.
It was such a dumb movie, but I have not had that much fun in a fucking
all
movie.
year.
And you know what was really funny? Sorry. I just find it hilarious how into this movie I got.
Yes.
Once again, verbally, but much quieter.
Fuck yeah.
Sorry. This is so dumb.
It's so good.
Is when he's getting choked out by the monkey with the chain.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there so into this fucking movie. And I'm like, come on, Godzilla, show up. Come on, where's Godzilla? You gotta save him. And I'm sitting there just like thinking these. And I'm like, he flips him. And then I'm like, oh, he saw that. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with him? I'm sitting here going, come on, Godzilla. You gotta be there for your friend.
So before I made a comparison to Toy Story 4.
Tim Allen.
Toy Story 4. Unintentional.
So,
you take a deep breath. You wanna come back down
dude,
a little bit?
I just
fuck yeah.
I got way too into that. I also got the goosebumps, and I don't want to compare it to this because it's not the same, but it kind of is. This movie got a little bit of a Marvelization to it compared to the other ones, but I'm not gonna lie, it got me excited like a good Marvel movie used to.
Yes.
Which I hate that was what I compared it to because we get tired of that. There's so much of it, but seeing it done well again is so good. And also, like, not just these American ones, but like the Japanese ones as well. The fucking Deus Ex Machina of just fucking Mothra always showing up to save the fucking day every time.
Mothra, do you remember King of the Monsters? Mothra is so fucking dead.
Gets murdered.
Mothra is
keep saying that harder and harder.
I don't know, but Mothra is very fucking dead. And the explanation, they're like, she could summon Mothra, and then I'm like, all right, so they have the corpse down here or something.
It's just a respawn point.
Stop. They're like Mothra's gonna. I'm like, maybe they have the corpse because of course my brain watching the Godzilla fucking Kong riding Godzilla.
In the little girl's palm.
I thought that somehow they were gonna base it in reality. Be like, well, we have the corpse here. She's gonna go, oh, in my silence, live. But Mothra literally just like materializes and appears.
I just want to take back your expectations really quick.
Yeah.
You thought
yes
the subterranean ancient civilization
that was hidden behind an organic
that's older
wall
than the Mesopotamians, that has irrigation, which they made a point of pointing out.
Yes.
That has pyramids on not just the floor but the ceiling.
That talk through telepathy.
That can talk through telepathy and can control gravity with these magical
with
pyramids by
goo.
pouring goop into his other thing. You thought that the giant god moth, queen of the monsters, was gonna make sense.
You know what I love too? I love that. So Kong comes up right at the pyramids. He comes through this portal. He just appears through the sand. The people of Egypt freak the fuck out, and he pulls himself up. And Godzilla knows he's there and walks in and is like, "What the fuck you doing on my turf?" And they beat the shit out of each other. And you can see Kong is like, "Bro, I need your help." And Godzilla's like, "Fuck you!" And he's
like, "I'm throwing hands right now."
And Mothra shows up, and Mothra's like his wife, where like they exchange this look, and she's like, fucking stop right now.
But then the little girl shows up too, and she's like, and you know what
like,
Godzilla would have did? And she would have been dead. I can understand he listened to the moth, but why not? They made that so good. And did they make the spines move a little bit, like -1?
Bit, yeah.
They took that from there, and you know what? I like
Fuck it. You know what I didn't like though is that in even Godzilla versus Kong and in King of the Monsters, it's this big thing of like, oh man, he's so thermonuclear, and he does the explosion where all the energy just comes out of him. He does that in the beginning against something, and then he doesn't do it again.
So, I just want to point out, minus the death toll of the fight itself, the fucking casualties of radioactive pink Godzilla touching the water and it boiling instantly.
Yeah.
And they're like, Godzilla's over here. The entire area's irradiated, and then he's just sleeping in Italy. Everyone's dead. Everyone's fucking dead. Then this guy comes along and causes an ice age, and then he heats it up again with nuclear radiation.
Yes, pink.
Which, once again, everyone's fucking dead. I'm pretty sure those motherfuckers fighting just killed, maybe not that day, but in the coming years,
so much
billions.
cancer.
Like,
So much
easily,
cancer.
like, fucking, like, 80% of the human population.
Yes.
You cause global warming and an ice age simultaneously?
Yes,
and
yes.
Nah, it's good. That's
I'm gonna go to
almost
sleep.
as egregious as the
I gotta
Eternals
go to the
being like,
Coliseum.
there's like fucking God coming out of the planet, but it didn't affect the tides
The
or
Eternals?
airplane travel
Oh, yes.
or anything.
There's just a head and a hand,
Just
and everyone, not a single.
can
I'm
you
not talking
imagine
about
the
Marvel
fucking
today, please.
detours you have to take in a plane now? That hand's huge. You can't go from here to here. You gotta go all the way around.
Can't fucking believe this guy. Is there anything I could? So, again, this is another movie that I'll put on the list of things I would want to see again. But our year with movies is so fucking packed that
Yeah.
we don't have a chance. Is there anything else you'd like to comment on besides the root canal? Baby Monkey, pretty good.
Baby Monkey was good. Oh yes, Daddy Kong. He has all this like emotion and everything throughout all of it, and it's so funny seeing him just be the only monkey. You have no frame of reference, and then you see him around other monkeys, and I'm like, this
That's a
dude's
dad.
fucking jacked,
This is
man.
a gigantic-
He is a fucking beefy monkey.
He is.
And I'm like, oh my
Homie
god.
can bench like 315
But
and then some.
He like has these whole like I know he can't fucking like speak or whatever, but he's got these little moments with the monkey, and it's fine.
There's
But
so
then
many
later on,
moments where they just talk.
the monkey just the little orangutan monkey, Baby
Yes,
Kong, Diddy
Baby
Kong
Kong.
for the podcast.
Nope, can't
Diddy,
call him.
little Diddy's
Lil
over
Diddler.
there. Little Diddy's sitting there, and he does this cool thing, and Kong stops what he's doing. I'm gonna look at the camera for this and not you. Throws the axe on his back and just goes, "Not bad, little man." And there's no words, but you can see it on his face. I'm like, I want to punch you in the fucking face. That was
There's
so
many-
douchey.
There's so many grunty conversations they have where before it was like, oh, I think Kong's saying something, and then they have like the giant ape just do sign language talking to the girl.
Yeah.
And then see the baby's like, and Kong's like, and the baby's like, I get that. I
Yep.
understand it.
I'm like, and I thought to myself, I'm like, do all monkeys speak the same language?
I fucking loved in the ending. Kong, of course, for the sake of the plot, forgets his axe, and the baby comes through, and he's like, you see the baby, he jumps down, he goes through the portal, he grabs the axe,
Yeah.
and he's like, I gotta go help my dad.
Yeah.
And then Kong is like getting the shit beat out of him, and the kid's just dragging the fucking. He's like, Dad, you need this?
Yeah.
And he's like, hand it to me. And he's like, here you go, Dad. And Kong takes it, and then he beats the fucking shit out of the monkey.
There's one other thing I wanted to mention that you actually brought up earlier with your problem with the fact that Godzilla does not show up until later.
He doesn't fucking do
This
enough.
is just a Dragon Ball movie, and Godzilla's Goku.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Goku Black, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got the pink hair.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He's dead,
comes
hibernating, and in the middle of fucking nowhere, and
Sleeping.
everyone's like, "We're dying, man. Where the fuck
Can
are
you please just come give
Just
us a
show
hand,
the fuck
man?
up." And then Godzilla Goku shows up, and he's like, "Okay, let's go.
With the fucking crap.
Like we gotta do this shit, man."
I'm
And
here. Don't worry.
Also,
I got it.
Zero G monkey fight. Weird.
Why'd you say it like that?
Because it's weird.
I don't know. Why did they turn off the gravity? They were like, oh, we got to stop him from going.
Just so that little monkey could throw a boulder its exact weight with no gravity to hit another monkey that makes it almost die because for some reason the moment it hits the monkey it has normal gravity.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. And then also, in the words of Doofenshmirtz, if I had a nickel for every single time I saw a monkey, like, I want to use the word flamboyantly, but it's not what I mean. Like,
Okay.
I'm meaning like over-exaggeratingly flailing its arms as it falls to its death. I'd have like 3 or 4 nickels.
In one movie?
No,
In the series?
just from
In the-
movies. And I'm like, it's not a lot, but the fact that I'm seeing it this often is kind of weird. It happens in Planet of the Apes. It happens in this.
You're
That's
watching
how
the
he
Planet of the
kills
Apes
Koba
movies.
in that like second or third one. And you don't even know who the fuck Koba is. Watch the movies.
What?
But like, I walked out of the theater and I looked up as we were walking out because we have that whole like center area where they
Beautiful.
have like
Yes.
posters and everything. And I looked up and the king monkey in
The
this
Scar
one
King?
has the almost exact same face as Kong. I'm like, are we really add a monkey faces?
Have we run Hollywood that dry?
Like, are we all? It's just all the same fucking monkey.
I love the more ridiculous it gets. Because, right, first Kong was this dude, and then he got a little more muscular, and then they gave him the axe, and you're like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, he took a bone, Godzilla, shit, whatever, fine. Now he has the gauntlet, too. It's so funny that in the end, he like, walks in. He's like, I'm King Kong now.
Yeah.
And he has the glove, he's got the axe, and he's got his son right next to him. And you're like, I wonder how far we can get this to go. Is he going to get a gun? At what point do we give Kong a gun? I want to see a rocket launcher, perhaps.
I'm just
a robotic
waiting
eyeball
for him to get the full Hulkbuster treatment in the next one. They gave him the gauntlet, and he already did the boom, 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 boom thing with it.
Yes.
So he might as well just get a whole fucking thing. And I can't wait for this buff-ass monkey to look like the dude from Spy Kids 3 coming on in and just being like, yeah, man. And
George
then the
Lopez.
Iron Man monkey helmet just goes, jeek, 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 and then he's like, okay, let's go.
Are you thinking
Now,
George
get that
Lopez?
What?
George Lopez.
No, that's Spark Boy and Lava Girl. The kid, I mean, the guy, Elijah Wood in the orange outfit from Spy Kids 3D with, you know, Sylvester Stallone and, you know, the main kids. You know, Steve Buscemi's in it, Danny Trejo, Machete. Canon, that Machete is their uncle. 2 different movie universes where he murders people is the Spy Kids uncle. I don't know who you're looking at.
I don't know what the fuck just happened. You got very excited about the Spy Kids. I just want to talk about George
Have you
Lopez.
not heard the Steve Buscemi quote that's
No?
like godly?
Oh yes, isn't that where
Do you ever think that God has feared what he has created or some shit like
you
that?
think
No,
God
why
stays
does
up in
this
heaven because he
fucking-
fears what he's created?
Yeah, and just like that
That's
quote
where that's
came
from?
Spy Kids
I
2.
fucking
Kong and Godzilla.
Do you have any final thoughts about Kong X Godzilla: The New Empire?
I just fucking
Still
loved,
a bad title.
I loved it.
Such a good time.
It was the most
The
thing
best
that I
one.
loved.
It's the best
He
one.
was so good.
I enjoyed it a lot. Mainly the colors and the spectacle.
Yeah.
Pink Godzilla,
Mm-hmm.
more please.
Yes.
So now that we're done with Godzilla and Kong,
Yeah.
there's 2 other things that we want to talk about.
Uh-huh.
One of them is very depressing, and the other one is, I imagine, less so, because I have no idea.
You'd be wrong.
I wanted to see Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2,
Which supposedly
as
was
they
good,
build
but
the
we didn't
Pooh-verse.
have time to watch the first
the
one.
Pooniverse.
The Pooniverse?
The
Pooh
Pooniverse.
and Honey.
Sounds
Blood
like
and
a
Honey.
a
Sorry, I fucked up the
Pooh
title.
and Honey. Did you think that's what it was? Okay. Tell me about Late Night with the Devil.
So, strap
Steve
yourself
Buscemi.
in because no, Steve Buscemi is not in it. I'm not joking here when I say, like, buckle the fuck up.
Okay. Okay. I can. Ready? I cannot imagine that it's any more ridiculous than 2 monkeys falling through a portal, going through Egypt, destroying the pyramids, going to a skyscraper, and then throwing the skyscraper at someone.
Okay. You're so fucking wrong. So, this dude is a 70s talk show host like Johnny Carson kind of thing. He's trying to, like... For context for you, Johnny Carson is Deepak Chopra, and he's the love guru.
Okay.
he's with us. So this dude is trying to chase him and become #1 for the talk show host, but it's slowly going downhill. And
Okay.
then his wife dies of cancer.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's just the start.
that's the beginning. So then you hear him making some of these connections, and he's going to that camp that all the political figures go to that has the giant owl statue. That's,
Oh, yes.
what the hell is that called? Google it, Mr. Computer Man.
All right, let's see.
So
Famous camp with the celebrities with the owl. Bohemian Grove.
thank you. That is correct. You were being such a smartass, but
It
it
was.
worked.
That's exactly what.
So Bohemian Grove. So he goes there because he's
Okay.
now a high status member
Yes.
in society. So he's with there where like a lot of people go to like their political figures. Like
Yes.
Nixon was famous for going there. He talked
Yes.
shit. He didn't like it. I can't say what he said because we'll get canceled.
Okay. So the story.
So he goes there and you hear them and it's kind of just like a off, like just thrown away piece of dialogue, but it comes back later in the story. Having said that, they then give you all this background of the satanic cults of the 60s, 70s, and everything in the Church of Satan, and how there was this whole big fire and everything, but this little girl survived. And this girl, she's a doctor, starts writing a book about this girl and her exorcism. She then decides, why not bring this girl on a talk show, and just give a demonstration of this demon being on live TV, and this guy who's looking for like viewership and everything is trying to do all this stuff, and he brings up all these other paranormal experts, including this guy who's just like, I can read your mind. You got a guy named Peter, Paul, and someone's like, Steven? He's like, yeah. So you got that guy,
like Steven.
Except because the woman who's possessed is actually there and there's a demon or whatever, he has his eyes roll into the back of his fucking head, starts spewing details that no one could know about the host's dead wife. And then his eyes roll into the back of his head and he starts spewing black tar. And then they take him away in an ambulance and you find out in a couple minutes he's fucking dead. He dies right off the bat.
Makes sense.
That's the first guest. You know how talk shows go, there's like 3 or 4.
Yes.
First guy, dead.
Okay,
Second
black tar.
Second, black tar heroin.
Perhaps heroin.
So, no heroin. Second guy comes out is a debunker of whatever. He wants to find science. He's like,
they're a liar. This is really this and that.
It's all fucking bullshit, this or whatever. And then
Also dies.
No, we'll get there. And then, so then they bring out the actual exorcist girl. But this entire time, like weird shit's happening. There's all this stuff going on, and this girl comes out, and they finally convince her to do this thing. So they strap her down in this chair, and she just transforms into this stereotypical, like the original Exorcist kind of girl. And the chair starts levitating and shit. Her skin starts cracking.
I don't like
she's
this.
kind of got this kind of voice going on, even though she's like a little girl who, by the way, creepy as fuck. Like, the moment she walks on the stage,
the trailer keeps going.
she walks onto the stage, and the first and only thing she does is makes direct eye contact with the camera. The entire time. I hate it. It's so uncomfortable. So then she's doing this the whole time, and she's doing all this, and everyone's just sitting there like, holy shit, this girl's possessed. And like she's saying all this fucked up stuff, and then she turns to the guy who's sitting there and everything, who's the host, who by the way is Polka Dot Man or Baba Yaga guy from Ant-Man, or in Dune of fame.
He's in Dune?
He's in the first Dune. Yeah, he dies. He's in the room where they gas him.
David Dasmalchian.
Good enough.
Sure.
And then, she then turns to him and says, I haven't seen you in quite a while, Jim or James, whatever the fuck his generic name is.
Yeah.
And then Jack,
yes.
Delroy. And then she's just like, and he's like, what? And she says Bohemian Grove. So as the movie goes on, you find out that he didn't become part of that group. He made a deal with the devil to try and get into that group, which is why his wife died of cancer.
Yeah.
Because that was the price he had to pay, which, but he didn't know that. He didn't know what the price was to pay. So then as this happens and everything, the debunking guy is like, that was fucking bullshit. It's just a messing, like...
Head explodes.
We're foreshadowing. So, I don't like that you just threw that out there because that was a mind fuck, but hold on. So, this guy's just like, nah, this is fake. Anyone could do this. It was just trickery. And they're like, the fucking chair floated off the ground, guy. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's like, okay, you co-host, sit there, do whatever. I'm going to hypnotize you, but I'm also going to get the camera and everyone in the crowd looking at this fucking thing. And he starts doing it, and he's like, you're under my control now. You're doing whatever. The guy starts believing he's full of worms. And he's just like, oh, you got a little cut there. And he's just like, what? And he picks at it, and he just peels it. And he pulls out a whole fucking worm. And he goes, oh, my God, they're inside me. They're eating me alive.
The debunker?
No, the co-host who's hypnotizing the debunker.
Yes.
But, this is getting graphic, and it's getting fucking real. So you're like, oh, my God, the exorcist woman is, doing all this. And he's like, they're inside me. And he takes his stomach and rips it fucking open. And all of these worms fall out. And you see the hypnotizing guy, being like, oh, God, this isn't supposed to happen or whatever. And then he snaps. It was all fake. He did it on purpose. There was also a gigantic fucking worm that came out of him that was this big. Oh, so you don't also like worms? Because Isaiah didn't like worms.
I don't like worms. I didn't like that at all. I'm watching a movie right now through words.
It looked like the Dune worm, but slimy. So that
I don't like it.
That came out of him like a pie. And
wait.
I need to elaborate.
What the fuck does that even mean? What the fuck does that even mean? Like a pie. What kind of fucking pie do you eat? What the fuck does that even mean? Go ahead. Please, find a way to make this make sense for me. Because I don't know.
So the thought that I was going with was not Alien, but Spaceballs. They go to a diner, and the dude from Alien has the alien come out of his chest, and it starts getting all, like, bloody and everything, and there's, like, whatever. And when I saw that as a kid, it looked kind of like someone cracked a pie, and it was, like, raspberry and things were, like, coming out of it, because it looked kind of fake and cheesy.
Yeah.
So even though it's coming out of his chest, my brain always went, it looks like a pie. So,
Of course. It totally makes sense.
Sorry. Thought everyone was on board with that one. So, this worm goes out and everything, and he snaps his fingers, and it goes back to normal.
Okay.
And everyone's like, what the fuck? And because he had the hypnotizing thing in front of the camera, the whole crowd saw it, the host saw it, people at home saw it. Everyone believed that this was happening. And he was like, no, just run back the tape, man. Like, I hypnotized all of you, and they run back the tape, and this dude's just sitting there, just, like, touching himself and, like, undressing and shit and like that, because he's, like, trying to rip his stomach out, but there's, like, nothing there. He's just, he's hypnotized.
Yes.
So then they're like, okay, well, the Exorcist girl's like, well, if that doesn't, like, I like how we usually review these, but I'm just giving you a play-by-play.
You literally are just walking me through a movie.
But I'm having fun.
That's fine.
The Exorcist girl's like, well, if it's fake, then why don't you look at the film since the film doesn't lie? And the guy was like, yeah, okay. And they put on the film, and all of it still fucking happens.
Of course.
And he was like, no, you were in on this all along. You had that pre-taped. You were, like, part of this. There's, like, work going on and everything. Yeah. And he starts just talking shit, and the set just explodes. There's electricity. The girl starts getting pissed off and shit. She's got lightning shooting out of her arms.
Emperor.
And it gets weird. And then
I know it's coming.
Her eyes start to glow, and her head splits like a hairy fucking egg. And you just see energy come out of it, and the fucking demon, she's floating in the air, and it got a brain like the Thinker, except it's all just energy, and her head is literally cracked open like an egg, and all this demon shit's happening, and the helper host snaps his neck immediately. The girl who's the exorcist woman, who's like trying to tame her and everything, picks her up by her cross necklace and pulls it through her neck and decapitates her slowly. Then the fucking guy who doesn't believe in anything, she burns from the inside, and he just fucking melts from within himself. Shit, at this point, I'm uncomfortable. It's wild.
I'm uncomfortable right now. I don't even know if we can post this or anything. I'm so sorry.
So then, everyone's dead, and then you see the host flee the scene. But the next thing you know, he's on TV again, but in his past, in the segments that we saw earlier in the movie, and he's just reliving them over and over again. He's like, what the fuck's going on? You guys gotta get out of here. Like, blah, blah, blah. And then it cuts to his wife, and she's in the bed dying of cancer. He's like, I didn't know this was the price. I'm so sorry and everything. And it's this heartfelt moment. And she's like, just fucking kill me. I cannot take this. I can't take the pain. The cancer hurts. And he fucking's crying. And he stabs his wife in the gut. Not the way to kill someone, like, at all. It maybe a bit was the chest, but it was not a good stabbing location for murder. And as he stabs into her, the insanity fades from him, and he put the knife into the little girl, whose head is not cracked, and everyone is still dead just as you saw him, and you don't know if there was actually an exorcist there who killed all of them, and then he went insane and murdered her, or if he was insane the whole time and killed everybody. And the movie ends with him on set, and you just hear the sirens from the police just kind of closing in, and it just fucking ends.
So I didn't like any of that.
Imagine being there.
I didn't enjoy any part of that. I didn't like your retelling. I don't want to watch it.
Having said that, it was a good movie. I don't want to watch it again, but watching it once was a fun... It was an experience. It was not fun.
Thank you for catching yourself. So, then on the flip side, Timmy and I watched Quiet on Set, the 4-part
forgot she was
HBO Max
How did
documentary.
that go for you?
Horrible for everyone involved.
Okay.
So we watched Quiet on Set, the documentary on HBO Max, which is basically talking about Nickelodeon from about 1994 to 2017.
The slime era.
Sure.
The good era of Nickelodeon for the
All
shows, at least.
because of one dude named Dan
Who
Schneider.
knew how to make good TV.
Who knew how to make.
But was a very bad guy.
He was a horrible human being, yes. And so it's basically this like 3-hour thing of them talking about the horrible things that Dan Schneider did, the horrible things that happened on set, the horrible things that happened to certain actors, and then just being like, we need to make sure that this never happens again. Little do they know, if we knew that, it wouldn't happen in the first place. Because
Yeah.
I'm sure Dan Schneider's not the first one.
No,
he won't be the last.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. And it's basically right. Because it all kind of blends together. It's in an episode format, but it's not necessarily an episodic thing.
Okay.
You get to watch as these cast members from all that mainly talk about like what it was like being child actors and these child stars being around these adults in the 90s. There's supposed to be, legally speaking, supervision, but of course there's not.
Yeah.
There's labor laws, but then of course they're not being followed. Dan Schneider like starts out as this great guy. He's like making all these shows, everyone's loving him, and then one day he's like, well, now I just want people to massage me, and I want to make these horrible jokes and make everyone uncomfortable and hate their lives.
Did he actually like molest anybody?
No, he didn't molest anybody. There was a lot of molesting going on.
A
This
lot
is
of molesting.
really an episode that at about the 45-minute mark, I don't even know if we can post it on YouTube. There is
I just want to know what went wrong with Amanda Bynes. That's all I care
that
about.
is not covered at all.
At all?
There-
Because that
there's-
seems like a pretty big chunk.
there's a
'cause
couple
she went
moments-
fucking insane.
There's a couple moments where she is spoken about where they're just like, oh, she's really like, they don't use the word stereotype, but she's really the stereotype of a child star
Mhm.
who's like, they're this child star and they're huge and everybody loves them, and then they're trying to make the transition into adulthood,
Mhm.
and they begin to slowly make it, but they're afraid nobody takes them seriously. They have a lot of freedoms now.
So
They
there
talk
was-
about like emancipation from their parents because they want
Yeah.
to have all these things, and then she completely like hits the fucking wall. And
So she didn't really get molested. It had nothing to do with that.
no,
Or
no,
maybe
this
she did, but it
entirely
wasn't-
had to deal with one, because you know who I'm talking about. That girl from Zoe 101 who's made it her whole personality to do like a podcast and talk about how bad her time on Zoe 101 was.
Why would I know who that is?
Well, I assumed you did because I don't look for her. But
Was
she's
it the nerdy one or the other one that was kind of airheady? Because the other two were Zoe and Victorious, who got her own show. So I'm assuming it was.
I think it was
neither
the
of
airheady one,
them. Okay.
the one that was boy crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to think about.
That's her whole thing. And like Timmy and I were talking about this yesterday. There's an entire subsection of people and people's beliefs that'll be like, it's one thing to like for an innuendo, right? For you to watch something and be like, there's clearly a sexual innuendo there. I get it. There's another thing for someone who will, because people like this who will take anything and twist it and be like, that color, this is a comparison I made this morning. That bubblegum wrapper being pink is racist because pink is comparable to the inside of a black person's gums. And then you and I will go there and be like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Because I've heard this argument
Who's
before.
making this argument?
Sociology class, okay? I have a minor in sociology. It's happened.
That
Yes.
happened in your
Yes.
class.
And then I will look at them and go, what? I'm looking at them and you go, no, it's pink because that's the color of the bubble gum. But the point is, people like that. She's one of those people. She's one of the main people in this show. The other main person is Drake Bell, who ran from an outsider's perspective, was doing very little after Drake and Josh, and then he was caught like grooming a child as they grew up,
Yeah.
and then fled to Mexico because his music has always done very well
It
there.
has been done very well. I can't fathom how well he's done in
He's
Mexico.
very famous in Mexico,
Yeah.
and it's very weird. Or rather, we can't comprehend it because he's nothing like that in the States.
Yeah.
And then in the show, I talked about it before, and I'll talk about it again, how they do this weird reveal, right? Where I'm not going to get into detail, but there's this child that's abused on this show. Not on this show. In reality, that they talk about on this documentary.
What child? Drake?
I'm getting there.
Oh.
They talk
Sorry,
about
there's
them-
a lot of kids to
There
keep up
is,
with
yes.
here. It's not my fault.
Well, because nothing is told to the public. Nothing is told to the public deliberately. Are you okay?
We have an extra audience member here today, and I'm trying to communicate with the extra audience member not to talk while we're recording, and I try to do it silently when you're talking so I'm not on camera, and then you constantly react to it, so then I have to address it on camera.
Timmy's a very good audience member. Timmy's always
Quiet.
right off camera and is either falling
Except
asleep or
for
watching
some
us.
minor giggles, which are welcomed.
Yes, always,
Yes.
because it's a good reaction. And so you have this moment in this second episode of this documentary where they're talking about this court case, and they're like, oh, nobody ever spoke about who it was or revealed who it was. There was just kind of assumptions made or whatever, but it's just listed as a child, aged 14 or 15. And in the end of the second episode, again, man, it's dark in this room. There's no lighting or anything. There's just a chair and like a mirror. And Drake Bell walks from behind in darkness. He comes in. He sits down at the chair right in front of the camera. He sits down. He gets comfortable. He crosses his leg, and then the lights turn on. He goes, "Hi, I'm Drake Bell." And I go, "Oh, Thanos, thank you for the crazy reveal, for coming around like I couldn't fucking see you. Why are we doing it like that? Why is he the only one?" Because there's like 15 fucking cast members that show up.
Yeah.
And each one of them's like, "Hi, I'm Jack blah, 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 blah. I was on this show for this many years." And Drake Bell shows up, and he walks around. He's all in the dark.
I want to say something to you.
And it's the most like graphic and upsetting shit that anyone has ever been through.
He showed up with a Thanos intro. Can you please explain the Thanos intro?
It wasn't even Thanos intro. It's I call it the Thanos intro because it's like a Marvel type of thing, where it's just this random cameo where like the camera would turn and you'd be like, "Oh my God, it's John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic." Only you're like, it's Drake Bell. And he was abused. They hurt him so bad for life.
Oh.
It's a very interesting documentary.
Yeah.
I will give it that. Will I ever watch it again? No.
No.
Will I think about it intensely?
Have you ever watched a documentary more than once? Besides Planet Earth, because
Planet
the
Earth
pretty
looks
pictures.
fucking pretty cool. Yes.
I haven't watched it, but the only thing I really genuinely heard about it, which the internet is loving, is that Jerry Trainer, Spencer from iCarly,
has unfollowed Nickelodeon and shit. He's not in the documentary.
That's not what I heard at all.
What did you hear?
That he stayed on set on days that he didn't work and was constantly trying to distract those guys who were, I'm going to call them, for just the sake of this, rapists.
Dan Schneider.
And the other one. Peck. Braden? Is that what you said his name was? Braden Peck? Bruce? Bryce?
He seems like a Bryce. Yes.
Yeah.
That's not okay. There's so much shit I have to fucking cut around. I'm not paid for this.
You can leave that one in.
I hate this.
So he stayed on set to keep an eye on the kids to make sure they weren't being molested, even on the days he had off because he cared about him and wanted to keep him
not to that
safe.
extent, but yes, there's footage of him deliberately getting in between. Like Dan would make a joke or like make people uncomfortable. He'd like get in between them in a joking sense.
Yeah.
Of where he's like messing with Miranda Cosgrove and he like gets in between. He'll be like, "Oh my God," and he like separates them.
Wait, my enchilada.
He did that very often. Yes.
Did he really?
No, not
what
that.
a G.
I meant getting in between.
You ate my enchilada. Like that. You would stop.
That sounds like a sexual innuendo. That's what.
Why you gotta bring it back? We're on Team Spencer, not Team Dan. Why are you bringing it back?
And what's funny too is when Drake comes on, they use that episode because then they dedicate the whole third episode to Drake, talking about how Dan was the only person that was there for Drake. So then you're just very confused. Like, am I supposed to be rooting for him? I'm really confused.
He's the only person who cared about him, but he cared about him for a very specific reason. I also heard like that people were talking shit about Drake's mom for like being like, "Yeah, go have a sleepover at this grown-up's house."
Oh no, his mom was definitely like an airhead piece of shit that wasn't there for him.
Mm-hmm.
His dad was on the documentary crying very often. Very emotional man. Looked like a biker at first. Cried a lot.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
He got the mustache for it and everything.
Yeah.
And then the ponytail.
Oh, yeah, it's a weird look.
Yeah, it is.
But, on the darkest note of this episode, I think it's time we stop.
Is there anything else you needed to? Brendan, how was your day?
I was fine. I went to the movies. I saw Kong and Godzilla today.
Yeah.
And that was it. And it's been a long time since I just had a weekend to do nothing, and it was nice.
I'm very jealous.
Yeah.
Every weekend from now until this is the part of the podcast where we're just gonna talk about random shit. No, dude, for the next couple of weekends, I just have like one day off during the weekend, and it's like dedicated. To there you go. It's like dedicated to something. Like this weekend, it's tomorrow we get to relax, Timmy and I, and then I have to do my editing during the day. Easter. Fuck that. I don't care.
Easter.
I don't care.
What about the chocolate bunnies and the eggs?
I don't even know what to say. I don't know if it was what you were saying or the apology that really just made it. And then next weekend we're getting the dog.
You're just looking at me like I was fucking insane for mentioning chocolate bunnies and eggs for Easter, and I'm just like, I don't.
Well, because you didn't say, "Hey, man, it's Easter. Are you going to have chocolate bunnies and eggs?" You looked at me and said, "Chocolate bunnies and eggs." I'm sorry. Like what the fuck do I say to that? I'm sorry made it. The I'm sorry was the bow on top. It's fucking awesome.
It felt like you were looking at me longer than you were, and I'm like, this is a mistake.
I need to apologize, man. I'm so sorry. So you remember your dog that you had, Ginger?
Yeah.
The one that we all really
Didn't
loathed
like.
entirely.
Bad dog.
She was a dash hound,
She
right?
was a what?
A dash hound?
A dachshund?
Okay, so no. The dog that we're getting, her name is Beebs. Spelled B-E-B-S.
Bebes.
Spells for
Bebes.
Beebs.
Bebes.
Big ears Batman.
Okay. This is not going anywhere. What's happening? Okay.
I'm just talking. I don't know.
Dog? What about
Dog?
dog?
We're getting a dog next weekend.
Nice.
I've shown you. She's
Yes,
adorable.
I know.
Speaking of a dog,
Yeah.
you can ride a dog. You can also ride a big lizard.
I can't do either of those. I can't even ride a pony without breaking its back.
Wait a second. There's a story attached to this. Did you kill a horse? By accident?
No, but I was a very fat little boy.
Was?
And shut up. I go through waves.
I'm going to put this right at the end of the podcast. Like, this is going to be the after, like the snippet right at the end.
And I went to a farm for the fall to go pick pumpkins and stuff, and they had a bunch of, like, horses and ponies.
Whoa.
And it was my turn to come, and the horse that came was the smallest pony. And I went to go get on it, and my dad grabbed me by the shoulder and went, I wouldn't get on that one. You'd kill it. I'd go on the horse. So I'm like, but I want to ride the pony. And he's like, but that pony doesn't want you on it. So just wait. And I didn't get to ride the pony. And I rode the horse, and you know what? Still didn't feel big enough.
You're a fat little boy.
It was a fat little boy.
You know what I was thinking of today?
Fat little boy.
No. That's Dan Schneider.
No, he didn't like Josh. He liked Drake.
Documentary's fucked up.
No transition there?
No,
Okay.
no. So, no, I was thinking today, right? We're going to hit the year of you being on the podcast in June or July.
Around, yes.
I'm very excited to look at the difference in how we look because I know, for me, not that I look like a totally different person, but like my hair is huge. I've gained quite a bit of weight.
Yeah.
And you just look the same.
It's because I gained weight at Christmas, and now I'm trying to fight back to get it down again. But my goal is by June, I'll look different by June.
I've lost like 6 pounds.
I have not looked at my weight, but I've lost 1 shirt size.
Fuck yeah.
And pant size, but I don't own a belt. It's kind of a struggle.
I hate belts. I can give you a link for a really good belt, arcade belt. Is there anything else you wanted to mention? Because this episode is definitely, I won't say off. We've had some couple off the rails episodes this year.
This one's pretty off the rails.
It's pretty fucking close.
I haven't been drinking as much lately, and I'm fucking drunk right now. How you doing?
I'm not drunk. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And I'm almost to the point of aggravated, but still to where it's funny.
That's the best kind.
Exactly. So I'm fine right now.
Where you want to fight someone, but you're gonna cry from laughter while you're doing it. That just sounds psychopathic.
And yes, it does. And my butt cheeks fucking hurt. When are we getting the chairs, Brendan?
I want to answer that question, but I can't answer without being horribly depressing or making a very off-color joke that neither one we can put on the podcast.
So we're going to call it. This has been episode 97. Brendan, what did we do last week?
I complain about Star Wars a lot.
You did, but that was not the point of the episode.
What was the point of the episode?
It was Ghostbusters, The Frozen Empire.
Yes. Why do I never remember what we did?
I don't know. It's like 5 days ago, too. Like, last week we recorded late,
Yeah, you're just like, what are we doing? I'm like, honestly, I have no fucking idea. Even though I'm the one making the shorts all week.
Yes. I do everything. And Brendan goes, I make the shorts. I have no idea what we're talking about.
I'm literally working. I made a short this morning, and I don't know.
You made a short this morning and we didn't post today?
I'm just making content here, man. Why you gotta call me out like that?
I was confused. I thought, do you know what we're doing next week?
We're talking about something else.
We're talking
Invincible.
about yes, Invincible is the big one.
Then the second one is smaller.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I appreciate that you just start laughing when I say dumb shit, but like
I don't know what to say.
You gotta push through it and just keep talking because the
one of us has to be sane.
That's
and
you.
Grounded.
That's your job.
It is, and you just.
I'm the insane person.
Brendan shows up and he's just like, "Tits, here we go," and I have to be like, "Yes, Brendan, tits. Here we go.
You know, I can tell you're the same person. You did this, and my brain went, he's got a bomb on his chest.
So next week, this is the Off the Rails episode. Next week, we're talking about Invincible, mainly, yes, the season 2 finale. We can talk about the season as a whole. And then I really want to talk about Monkey Man, which is basically the Indian version of John Wick.
Produced by Jordan Peele.
That apparently is very good.
I heard the same thing about everything else with that guy in it, including The Green Knight. I don't know if you ever watched The Green Knight.
I don't want to.
It's a fucking fever dream. You know what? I didn't like it.
So that's going to be next week. We're getting through the
You're
year.
so out of breath.
I'm so just done with the day. I don't even want to know what fucking time it is because I'm so afraid.
I'm about to go watch a movie.
You're going to watch Planet of the Apes.
The OG ones.
My name is Miguel.
I'm Brendan. And this has been the Anything Bowl where almost anything goes. And the stuff that doesn't has been edited out.
Have a good night. I hate all of this. I came here and I told you I just wanted to do the episode and go home because I'm tired.
Okay, so let's finish the episode.
We can't. I don't know where we are in the episode. Now I'm lost.
I made a joke about Josh. We were talking about Drake. He showed up with your Thanos thing, which I don't even get the fucking reference.